What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video highlighting 3 reasons that I think Robert Whittaker is going to go in there and destroy Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308. This is one of the biggest fights in the middleweight division this year, and it is none other a co-main event on one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year in a 5-round war between Khamzat Chimaev taking on Robert Whittaker in a #1 contender match in that middleweight bout. Now, I want to just lay out the reasons that I believe that Robert Whittaker is going to go in there and beat Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev is an undefeated fighter in that middleweight division, and truly I think Robert Whittaker is going to have all the stops to derail the hype train that is Khamzat Chimaev. First off, before we jump into the video, please go leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and please go help the channel reach 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there and we're doing so good, and every single subscriber means so much, so please go down there if you haven't already and smash the subscribe button. It's free and it helps so very much, and while you're down there, turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always notified when UFC content releases. But let's jump right into the video of 3 reasons why Robert Whittaker is going to destroy Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308. Okay, so real quick, I want to highlight this match between the 2 individuals. Robert Whittaker, as we all know, is a veteran of the UFC. He has been a former champion. He's fought the likes of Yoel Romero, Marvin Vettori, Israel Adesanya, Jared Cannonier. He's fought some really prominent figures in this UFC middleweight division. And Khamzat Chimaev is an up-and-coming fighter who has primarily fought at welterweight. He's fought a couple individuals at middleweight, like Jared Mearshart, who he defeated in 17 seconds. But he really hasn't fought a true middleweight. And his last fight was in the middleweight division, but it was against Kamaru Usman, who is a natural welterweight who took the fight on 10 days notice after Paulo Costa pulled out of the fight. So I think that Khamzat Chimaev actually getting a middleweight contender is going to be a big jump up in competition for him, considering that Whittaker is going to be bigger than someone like Usman. It's going to be more prepared. It's going to be a lot better in a lot of different standpoints. So the first reason that I want to jump into this is going to be the experience of Robert Whittaker in that middleweight division. Robert Whittaker is one of the most experienced fighters, highest IQ fighters, and one of the most bad fighters in the UFC. He fights anyone at anywhere at any time. When Khamzat Chimaev pulled out of their bout at UFC Saudi Arabia, Robert Whittaker fought Ikram Iliskerov on 1 week notice and KO'd him within 2 minutes, and that was an incredible performance from the Reaper in Saudi Arabia. So if Whittaker can do that against someone like Ikram on 1 week notice, someone that he hasn't heard of, someone that he really didn't study about, I think he can do the absolute same against Khamzat Chimaev. And even if he faces adversity in the octagon, he's got that veteran experience. He's got so many different fights. He's fought the likes of Dricus du Plessis. He's fought the likes of Israel Adesanya. He's fought the likes of Jared Cannonier. He's fought Marvin Vettori. He's fought the middleweight greats and put up a fight and beat a lot of different fighters. So Robert Whittaker's experience is going to be a major factor in this fight. Now, yes, he hasn't fought someone with the first round burst and just bull rush of Khamzat Chimaev quite yet, but I think Robert Whittaker is going to be able to wear that storm, and especially even that first round, if he's able to do that and his experience kicks in and he's able to do different aspects and just do different movements and different things to tire Khamzat out and to really win this fight in the earlier parts, I think he could possibly get a KO down the line. Now, the second thing I kind of want to highlight is Khamzat Chimaev's cardio, which is a massive question mark in this UFC division. He's fought the likes of Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, which went the distance, who are 2 amazing fighters, by the way, and they took Khamzat to his breaking point. And it was pretty evident that Khamzat Chimaev's cardio is one of the weakest points of his game, and we all know Robert Whittaker can do 5 rounds in the UFC like nothing, and that is something that I truly think that he is going to be able to take advantage of as the fight gets into the later rounds. Khamzat Chimaev has such a conducive style to a first-round finish just because he automatically bull rushes every single first round he has. It's unlike I've ever seen before. It's like an automatic 10-8, which is crazy to me, but if Khamzat doesn't get the finish in the first round, it is over for him as the fight goes on. I think Khamzat Chimaev is one of the best 3-round fighters in the UFC because that first round he can absolutely smother you, and then in order to win that fight, you have to win 2 in a row, and that's something that Kamaru Usman couldn't really do. Now, someone like Robert Whittaker is going to have a lot bigger of a lot more of chances to get back into this fight because the fight is so much longer, and I think that he could possibly say he loses the first 3 rounds. I think because of Khamzat tiring so much, I think he could 100% find a finish in the later part of the fight, and that is something that is going to 100% benefit Robert Whittaker. Whittaker has every asset that he needs to go the distance. He has great takedown defense. He's got everything that he is able to do, and just like I'm saying, he's the cardio. If it's going to go into a distance fight in that 5 rounds, I just do not trust it on Khamzat rather than Robert Whittaker. So I think that this fight isn't going to be a finish. I think Whittaker is, like I say, he's too much of a veteran. He's got too much experience, and I think he's going to be able to wriggle out of some different submissions and different maneuvers in that first round, ultimately costing the fight to go a little bit longer, which I believe is going to benefit Whittaker in the long run to get out in a long, drawn-out fight to possibly get a finish over Khamzat in those later rounds. And the last thing I want to point out is the striking advantage for Robert Whittaker. Now, Robert Whittaker compared to Khamzat Chimaev is a really good striker. Robert Whittaker is a really underrated striker in that middleweight division. He's got that patented Reaper combo on him, that 1-2 hide kick that broke Jared Cannonier's hand and sent him flying, and a bunch of different other fighters that have dealt with that kick in incredible fashion. But Robert Whittaker's striking compared to Khamzat Chimaev's is a very massive difference. And yes, we can point out the wrestling of Khamzat being better than Whittaker's, but I do think that Whittaker has great takedown defense. I think he's a great wrestler too as well. So I think he's going to be able to stuff some of the takedowns later in the fight. I think he's going to be smart enough to really know when he's he's in critical danger on the ground with someone like Khamzat Chimaev, because he's so smart in that standpoint. So I think that the grappling isn't going to be as big of a difference as the striking department here. Yes, Khamzat wins the grappling over Whittaker in my opinion, but it's not by that much compared to the striking of Whittaker over Khamzat, especially when this fight goes 5 rounds. And I cannot stress this enough. I think the gas tank is the biggest thing, but the striking differential of these two is 100% massive. Now, Khamzat probably hits harder than Whittaker, but Khamzat, you can see in this Usman fight, in the Burns fight, as that fight went longer, he was swinging his hands, his technique left, and truly he was just swinging for the fensive like he was swinging baseball bats everywhere in his hands. And it is something that's not going to fly with Robert Whittaker. Whittaker's precision, his just absolute, he can find the mark. He can 100% knock Khamzat out if he keeps his chin too high, if he opens his mouth a little bit too much. He can knock out Khamzat. And especially, like I said, that lack of cardio from Khamzat Chimaev is going to conduce to a finish later down the road for all these different factors. Like I said, I think Robert Whittaker is just a superior fighter over Khamzat Chimaev, and a lot of these well-rounded fighters in the top 5 of the middleweight division are going to give Khamzat a lot of different problems. Someone like Dricus du Plessis is going to give him problems. Sean Strickland's going to get him problems. Brendan Allen could possibly get him problems. Nasruddin Imavov could possibly get him problems. I think the easiest fight in that top 5 of the middleweight division is Israel Adesanya because of his lack of grappling ability. Yes, he has great takedown defense, but he doesn't know once he gets onto the ground how to defend against someone like Khamzat Chimaev. So ultimately, I think Robert Whittaker is going to get a win against Khamzat Chimaev by either 3rd or 4th round knockout. I think it's just going to be something that Khamzat Chimaev's cardio goes, and Robert Whittaker, being the more experienced fighter and being the fighter who knows how to win this win inside the UFC octagon, is going to find a finish later in the fight, possibly after losing the first 2 rounds. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please let me know what you think down below in the comments about this take that Robert Whittaker, or the 3 reasons that Robert Whittaker is going to beat Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308. I think that this fight for Khamzat is a massive step up in competition, considering his last fight was against Kamaru Usman, who is a great fighter, like I've said, but that was on 10 days notice compared to a full camp Kamaru Usman. I truly don't know if he would be able to win that fight, but Robert Whittaker, one of the biggest veterans of the sport, incredibly savvy and incredibly great, just well-minded and high IQ'd individual, is going to be in there, and I believe be a lot of these aspects that Khamzat Chimaev brings to the table, and ultimately possibly get a finish down the road in the UFC. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always updated with the latest UFC content that I release daily. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.